What's going on, everybody? This is Coach Al, and today I want to start a series on MVP 07 NCAA baseball for the PlayStation 2. I picked this game up a couple of weeks ago in my local CB game store for like $8. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. I've done a little research on just sort of get a feedback of what people thought about this game over the years, and they say this is the best college baseball game out there. Better than 06, but we'll see what happens. I don't have 06. We may play that down the road if I ever come across it. But today, I want to start the series by going through all of your options and menus and modes and whatnot. Then we'll get more to the detailed stuff as we go on. Hopefully after, 20 videos, however long it takes, to kind of get a feel of everything this game offers. Then you can go through all that. By then, you may be able to tell if you really want to play this game or not. So, I wanted to start here, and as soon as you start up the game, it gives you the option to either pick jersey numbers or generated names. This tells me that you are not able to upload a roster file if somebody in the past created it for all of the teams. That'd be quite impressive if they did, because college baseball isn't as popular as NCAA football or college basketball. So you can pick jersey numbers or generated names. I'm going to go generated names. And this right here says a silent login feature is available that will automatically enter online without user confirmation. Do you want to enable the silent login feature? You need to save the options file to avoid being asked this again. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to click no for now. Okay, just out of the gates, the look of the menus, the graphics themselves is pretty bad compared to 06. I'm going to compare a lot of this stuff to 06 just because they're like within a year's part of each other. They're made by the same company, so you would think you'd see similar things, but we'll see how this goes. Let's just go from the top to the bottom and just look at all the different options we have. Let's just start with play now. Now, I'm not going to play a game today. Again, we're going to go through all the menus and modes and probably do an exhibition game in the next video. But just to give you an idea of what to expect, it's got your random stuff. I do like the overall, the way they grade things out. You got your overall team. Then you got your pitching as an overall, your rotation. Then you got your bats, how good, you got good batters at A. Then, your fielding is good at B+. And I guess that's your speed on the far right. I like the way that's kind of laid out. It kind of gives you a nice overview of what to expect. Now, it looks like you can't do this in alphabetical order. You got to do it by conference. So you see L1 and R1 right there. We're in the ACC. Then you got the Big East, Big 10, Big 12, Big West, Conference USA. Here's one cool thing about this game. It does have a lot of really small schools and smaller conferences. Mountain West Conference, Pac-10, the Patriot League, SEC, the Sun Belt, the WAC, the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga, the Southern Conference, the SoCon, Atlantic 10. So that's pretty cool, but you can't randomly go through alphabetical order trying to find somebody. So you kind of have to know where these teams are at in terms of their conference. So we can go down here to the Oregon State. Let's say we're going to be them. We can just hit advance. Then all you have is home and road jersey options. And then I think this is kind of interesting / weird. It gives you the difficulty here. You'd think you'd be able to set that once and forget it. But apparently you have to change this every time. And they do a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, which I think is pretty cool. But you have to select it here. And then once you select that, then you can do roster style. Now I think this is actually pretty cool. It gives you the default rosters at MVP 07. Then you can go L1 to R1. You can hit R1. It says sluggers. Great roster for the long ball, but deficient in the field and on the base pass. That's pretty cool. They made like a sluggers team if you want to get a feel of a team that's kind of loaded at the bats. Or if you want amazing pitchers but not much else. That's what the Aces team is for. Small ball. You just want to get the field in play. That's pretty cool that they have those. Then you got balanced. Otherwise, you can just go back to their default rosters and you just hit advance. Then your next thing is the type of bats you want to use, which I think is interesting. I guess they just work better. I'm not as knowledgeable with baseball as I am with football, basketball. I mean, I played some back in the day, but I find that this is kind of interesting. I don't know if everybody's ratings go up just a little bit bat-wise when they using one of these bats. But either way, I think when I hit advance, it actually goes into the game. And we'll do that in a later video. So that's play now. Pretty interesting. Again, my favorite thing about all this is I like the letter grades. Gives me a nice overview. I guess it's no different than an NCAA 06 when you got offense, defense, you know, what their letter grades are when you go into dynasty mode. Okay, let's go to game modes. Exhibition, I don't see how that'd be any different than what we just saw. I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. I guess it's just like a one button less press to get to this point. Either way, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Then you got dynasty mode. Of course, we'll get into this later on. You can create a new dynasty or load up a dynasty. They got mini games for batting. We can hit the batting. We can go to classic batting at the beginning. You just select the team, and then from here, these are all the generated names of the players on the team. And you just select the player. We can go to Alex Presley. You can select their jerseys. And again, you got to select the difficulty, which I find interesting and weird. And then you got the mini game stuff right here. So I don't want to go too far into that. I think what I want to do is do a video just on the mini games. Just a separate video on that. Here we got a home run showdown. And you got pitching. I think it'd be a cool idea to do one video for all of these. And if you ever need to go back and reference to it, you can. So that'll be a separate video. And then we have tournament. We could do a separate video / mini series for this. You can create a new tournament. It's got a bunch of cool options there, which we'll get into again in another video. One thing I wanted to see here was we can't do the play online. Nothing we can do about that. Coach mode. We could try this in a video down the line. It's sort of like exhibition mode, but you can't do any of the on-the-field stuff. The computer handles that for you. So, again, that'd be another cool video to do down the line. Then you got scenario editor, which I think is pretty neat. It'd be cool if you had this in NCAA Football 06. You select your teams. You go through like an exhibition. Again, you got to select your difficulty. Once you get past the bats, and then you select the exact scenario. Maybe you want to go to the bottom of the 7th with one out, a guy on second, that type of thing, which I think is kind of neat. So I can see a future video on that, just playing around with it. Next, we can go to Learn MVP. I may do a separate video, and we'll just show all 6 of these. It's just a random video of EA Sports just kind of showing you how the rock and fire pitching works, and precision throw control, and then load and fire batting, and pitching and hitting, hitter's eye, and whatnot. So again, I may do a separate video of all 6 of these for a nice little reference tool for anybody else who wants to use it down the road. We can go back. Let's see. Creation zone. This will be an awesome video to do down the road. You can create a team. You can create a player. You can create a ballpark. I got to play with this a little bit, and I thought it was pretty cool. I think we could do a separate video for each one. I think that may be a good idea. Manage rosters. We can look at this a little bit. You got trade players, which I find interesting. Then you got your basic rosters. You can save, load. You can delete rosters, or you can reset them. That's if you've changed a bunch of stuff around and you want to go back to the default. That's how you do it. Trading players. We could just talk about this briefly. I got to play with it a little bit. You can literally just trade players around, which I think is kind of weird. Like, you could trade this center, Coleman, from Oregon State, hit the right analog stick, or the right D-pad button, and you go over to extra. Then you can go through in alphabetical order every single team out there. So I can select this center, and we can go back and select a 94 overall center and a 94 overall. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Catcher, sorry. I'm used to seeing that C there. You can trade 2 catchers. So I'm going to select this guy too. Then at the very bottom, you see the square button. You can trade them, and it'll just trade the 2. I don't know why they would include that in a college baseball game. Maybe that's a transfer. If you want to get real funky with transfer type stuff. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's really weird that they would have this option. But it's there if you want to fool around with it. Because if you hit trade, it flips them. Craziness. Makes no sense, but whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's go to rosters. Now, I halfway understand why they done it this way, you go by pitchers, and then you go by your lineup, and then you go by your defensive alignment. So if you want to go to your pitchers, and here we are with Oregon State, and it has their aces, starting pitchers, and then I guess you could just sub one out if you needed to with somebody else. Change role. I'm looking at the options at the bottom here. Player info. I hit the wrong button. If you hit player info, this is pretty neat. It gives you a rundown of the player in general. Just looking at their throw bats, it shows if they're on scholarship, which is weird. That's cool. Stamina, pitching stats, career pitching, which I think is interesting. I guess if you go over multiple dynasties, that adds up over time. Pitching attributes, I assume this is just the ratings. This tells me that he's got his best pitch is a curveball. Of course, batting stats and career batting. And there's his batting attributes. Of course, he's a pitcher. He's not going to have really good batting attributes. Fielding and running. Good durability. He can't steal a base to save his life. That's pretty cool that it's in there. And you can hit the down button, and it goes to other players as well. So that's pretty cool. Then you go to your fielders, your batters, and you can kind of do the same thing. Here's your starting lineup, and then you can just sub them in and out. And from here, you can look at the top, you can change the teams, and you can go by the conference. Again, you can't do it in pure alphabetical order. It's got to be by conference. I like the little 9 square. That's old school. That's been around forever and ever, and it's probably still in like MLB The Show 20 if I had to guess. But that's all pretty neat. We may look into that. And while we're here, the reason why it's showing Oregon State is you can't select your favorite team. If you remember in NCAA Football 06, you could select a team that's your favorite, and it'll show a player on the screen like we see here. Oregon State got right there. I haven't found it yet, but I don't think you could change it. The reason why it's Oregon State is because they're the number 1 team in the country in this game. You can look at defensive alignment. Same thing. DHs and whatnot. Just interesting. Again, you can go to their player info and look up all their stuff there. Again, I think the coolest thing is the career batting. I guess it just accumulates over time, which is pretty cool. Okay. Then you can save, load, delete, and reset a roster, like we said. I want to exit. Yes. Now let's go to options. Audio options. I'm glad this is first because you notice here everything is set at a max of 4. And I changed these earlier. Here's the reason why. You can hear my voice right now pretty clearly. That's because I don't have the music on. If you turn it up to the next setting, to me that's pretty loud. Imagine it at default. That's crazy. I mean, of course, you could turn it down all the way. You know, it's up to you how you want to do these. But you got broadcast volume, music volume, game sound, FX volume, menu sound, crowd volume. All normal stuff, but the settings are very simplistic, probably over simplistic. There's not many options. You literally have 5. You got from 0 to 4. And now here's the menu sound of FX option. This is the little, you can hear the noise every time I press a button. How much louder it gets. And I put that down to 1 because I thought that was kind of annoying. But again, a little oversimplistic, but that's nothing too important. And here's what happens if you don't accept. It's kind of weird why they've done this. At the bottom, you see back and accept. You hit accept, and it brings this up. But like I said before, you can't save your options automatically. You have to go to save options. And here's my setting. Here's the file that I made earlier. And do you want to override the game data? Yes. And it takes a little while to save. For it being a settings file, it shouldn't take more than 5 seconds, but it takes like 10, I guess. I can't imagine what a Dynasty file is going to be like trying to save. It'd probably take a solid minute. But anyway, I thought that was kind of weird. They should have implemented the automatic thing, but no big deal. Okay, let's go through some of these right here. Let's go gameplay options. There's a ton here. This is probably a strength of the game if I had to guess. Course innings, you could go 9-1. I'm guessing when I do like exhibition games, I can get these down to a few, and that way I don't have to play a full 9-inning game because those may take a while. I'm not really sure. I haven't played one yet. But you have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. NCAA rules, or you got summer rules where it changes your bat type, your base path, strike zone, which is interesting. We'll have to get into some of this stuff. Custom, here's where you can just change however you wish. The NCAA. So the next 4, bat type, base path rule, strike zone, and 10-run rule, you can change those if you change this over to custom. So that's pretty cool. Batting mode. Here's something that I'm going to have to play around with a little bit. I read the instruction manual some. When it comes to batting mode, there's 3 types. Analog is the new way to do it. Then there's zone batting, and then there's classic batting. That's like very basic. You just like hit a button, and it just kind of does it. I guess that's like for easy play. Pitching mode. Now, I've been told that the analog way of pitching is not all that great. So you may need to go to classic, or that's all you have is classic or analog. So classic may be the way to go. I'm going to fool around with both in time and just see which one I like. But I've been told with analog that if you have like a really good pitcher, he doesn't maximize his ratings all that much if you even throw a perfect pitch. Like say he's got great power, throwing power, which means you think he has a good fastball. Even if you make the perfect pitch with the analog mode, it still won't get up to in the 90s or something. Again, we'll play with that later on, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So I guess that means a lot of people play with the classic mode. Throw mode. You got classic and analog. I wish there was like not a tutorial, but it would just give you a description of what that was about. It doesn't have any of that in here. I don't know what this means technically, throw mode. I guess it just changes the controller or the button presses and what you use. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Fielding the same way. You got manual, senior, automatic, assisted. I'll just have to play around with some of these in time and see which one makes sense to me. Base running. You got assisted, manual. Strike zone pitches only. I mean, you can just look at the bar on the left. There's a ton of these options. Strike zone pitches only. Off, on. I guess that's an easy play if you turn it on. Variable strike zone, off and on. Throw back to pitcher, on. I guess that's just an automatic thing. That way it saves you a button press. Here's another thing you'll have to get around to the batting view, what you like the best. Pitch 6, bat 2, then bat 3. Hitter's eye. Ton of options. I hope you could change this during the game where you kind of see what it looks like. Because from here, this is useless. For me, this doesn't mean anything to me. I want to see what it looks like as I'm toggling these. If that makes sense. Fielding view, you got zoom, broadcast, aerial. Strike zone, on, off. I assume you'd want that on. If you want a real challenge, I guess you want that turned off. Hot, cold zones, I've always liked that. That's been around in baseball games forever. Fade and off and on. I probably like that on. I think fade is when it's after you select your pitch, or when he's fixing the pitch. I think it goes away. I may like that one on. I think in the past that's what I used. Hitter's eye, on or off. Catch, circle, assist. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think it's in the instruction book. I'll tell you, the instruction manual is like 5 pages long. I mean, they didn't put a whole lot in there. Which doesn't surprise me because instruction manuals are bad dead these days. Base, umpire, blown calls. Interesting that is an option. Got off and on. Pitch cursor. Fade, off, on. Fielding aid. That's, if you really want a challenge, you turn that off, I guess. Vector line. I do not know what this is. If anybody has an idea what that may be, you can put that in the comment section. It's just an off and on. Throw meter. On, off. Player names, on or off. Player icons, that should be an on or off. Auto replay frequency. Medium, high, low. I assume there's an off. There is. Check swing frequency. Medium, high. Always off. Missed swing replays. On or off. You could probably go through some of these games fairly quickly if you turn a lot of this stuff off. in terms of replay stuff. Injuries, on or off. Errors, on or off. That's interesting they give you that option, but I guess if you really want an easy play, you can turn that off. Overlay. Ratings, stats, cycle. I guess that goes between the two, if I had to guess. Pickoff returns, automatic. Variable, let's see, manual or automatic. Okay. Variable stuff. I don't know what that means. Somebody can explain that to me. Controller port 1 vibration. That's just auto. That's weird they even have that option in there. So, okay, after you make your changes, do not hit the back button. Hit accept, X. If you hit X, then you still have to go to save options to save it. Again, I think that's goofy, but whatever. Okay, let's go back to the options. Gameplay tuning. And you have a ton of these. Let's go to pitching. This is for the difficulties. We have a default at sophomore, but again, junior and senior. You can see how some of these automatically change. So like pitch speed for sophomore, it's at 0. But if you go to senior, it's at 10. I assume that this is a 0 to 10. No, it goes, I'm sure, how far does this go? Oh, wow, this, okay. That's interesting. Okay, I guess it goes from 0, what was it, 30 or 40? 50. It goes from negative 50 to 50 on all of these. I'm just assuming it's on every single one. I'm not going to go through every one of these. You get the hint. But look at all the different ones that they have. User, pitch, meter difficulty, pitch speed, CPU, pitcher, ball rate, user pitcher fatigue, CPU pitcher fatigue, user pitch control, CPU pitch control, bullpen fatigue rate, bullpen fatigue grace. That's interesting. And then pitching MG difficulty. And then you do that for every single difficulty level, which I think that's weird. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Here's what happens when you hit the back button. No, you got to hit accept, and then you got to go to save. It's just whatever. Okay, let's go to batting. Let's look at what some of these have. User batting contact. Then you got CPU. Then you got batting power and bad bunting ability for user and CPU. Then you got foul ball frequency, swing frequency, wind effect on hit balls, normal swing timing, power swing timing, contact swing timing. Then you change them for every single difficulty. Fielding. They got manuals and okay, user outfield speed for manual and senior. They got CPU outfielder speed, infielder speed, throw speed for user and CPU, throw accuracy, catch errors, dive difficulty, catch effort, hustle boost. I'm starting to think the gameplay may be just really good. We'll find out later on. But all of the options that lets you tweak the little things of this game is pretty impressive. I mean, 06 pales in comparison to this game in terms of anything you could tweak. Running. Base running speed. Runner aggression. Runner steal speed. Runner steal delay. Steal rate. I don't know if I'll ever fool with these because, again, baseball is not my favorite sport. And I don't have, I got some of the knowledge, but I can see some of the real knee-deep guys who love their baseball can go pretty wild with this. Then we go to injuries. Interesting. They got runner injury frequency. They got pitcher, and they got batter, and they got fielder. That's wild that they would have this type of depth. And you could change that to all the way to minus 50. That's crazy. So that's gameplay tuning. That's impressive how much stuff they got in there. Online options, of course we can't do that because they don't have the servers up anymore. Save options, load options, you can delete options. You would think you would just go to the load and save and work off of that, but no, you got to do it here. If you hit default, I'll show you what happens. You go default and you click yes. Everything comes up at default. So you have to go back to audio and change that again. I hit accept and I got to go back to save. And you can hear how loud the button presses are. So I can go back down and put that down to 1. And you got Jukebox. Now this is pretty cool. I don't remember 06 having that. I could be wrong and it did. But I think an introduction, a new thing to this game was the fight songs for a lot of the teams. That's a lot of fight songs for the teams. And they don't have Tennessee's in them. They don't have Rocky Top. Are you kidding? That's terrible. I'm upset. And Tennessee's got a decent team. They got Kentucky, and no offense to the mouth breathers, but they got Kentucky in there. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. No Tennessee. That's terrible. Okay. Now I'm really upset. So that's all of the options. Then you go to EA Sports Extras. Those are just demos of 07, NFL Street 3, which I actually forgot NFL Street 3 existed. I had 1 and 2 way back in the day. I'm sad that I got rid of it. I like to pick those back up. Who knows? Maybe down the road we may play NFL Street on the channel. So that's all what I wanted to cover in this video. Just all the basic menus and whatnot. And maybe in the next video of this series, we could do an exhibition game. Again, I'd like the idea of doing a little mini-series of a tournament. Maybe. We'll see. Coach Mode would be a great video. A scenario editor would be a great video. The mini-games would be good. Creation Zone will be an excellent video. Again, I'm treating these videos as reference tools that you could go back and say, okay, I want to go back and look and see what MVP 07 done with their creation stuff. Hopefully I'll have a video one day where you can go and just look at it and just look for that particular video for the information you are looking for. So come on back. We'll probably play an exhibition game next, just kind of get a feel of things. And we'll see where it takes us. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.